All right, Elizabeth, welcome to the Grant Chiasson Mental Performance Show. It's not really called that. I just think it's a good idea. And I don't know what else to call it, but so excited to have you on here doing a kind of a series of Division One athletes and people who have seen a lot of success in their career and who have shown a lot of mental toughness, a lot of resilience, and just hoping to provide some kind of, good quality insight to your whole process and everything you've been a part of and what's gotten you to this point. So a little bit about Elizabeth. She is a Division One swimmer for the University of Houston. She is a freshman at Houston, and she's a very decorated high school swimmer. I'm thinking 4, 5 state championships as a team.
Five.
You've won all five. So 5 years swimming, 5 year state championships. And then how many individual state championships have you won? Do you need your fingers and your toes?
Eight individual, and then I want to say like eight or nine relays.
It's amazing and just so casual about it, right? So we just want to kind of take a deep dive into, how you started, what made you get into swimming, what made you want to get competitive with it, and then kind of what's fired you up to keep you going and train the way you do, and now essentially paying for your tuition in college. So take it away.
Well, in the beginning, I think I did swim lessons whenever I was like
Mhm.
4, and I held my breath the whole way for the pool, and my mom wanted to put me in swim, and my dad told her no, that she was going to embarrass me. And so I started doing summer league, which is like just swimming in the summer, whenever I was 6 and 7, and I was just winning everything. So then I started doing year round, starting at 8, but like in order to swim year round, I had to give up doing other sports. So I kind
Mhm.
of made the decision like I was better at swimming than all the other sports that I did. So I chose to stick with swimming. And then whenever I was 9 and 10, I started really getting into it. And like I think I was 9 and I won my first like state championship like in Louisiana. And then whenever I was 10, I started breaking state records. And then it kind of just took off from there. And then like I was 13, I made my first sectionals cut, and then I was 14, I got my first futures cut, and it kind of just escalated from there, I guess you could say.
So what, so was it the success that was driving you to continue to just keep pushing competitively, or was it just kind of like the process, or what was more, your reason, or like we like to say when we talk, your burn to, get up in the morning and go to practice?
Well, I'm a very competitive person and I always want to be the best at everything
Mhm.
I do. Like in
Mhm.
regards to like either making good grades, like having all A's or winning, like even in like a card game or something. So I always wanted to be the best, and I knew that if in order to be the best, like I had to train and win in practice and like just train hard. And so
Mhm.
getting up in the morning and going to swim before school and then having to go like after school to swim again, like I just knew that's what it took to become the best and to like get to the level that I'm at.
So what about, the days
Um,
you didn't feel like getting up out of bed and the days you didn't want to go after school for 2 days? What was the mindset, or what was kind of the self-talk that led you to push through it and just get it done?
I knew that there was always a bigger picture. Like I knew that the goals that I wanted to achieve, and I knew that being ordinary, like you miss a couple days a week or miss a couple practices a week, but I never wanted by any means to be ordinary in the sport that I do. Like I always wanted to win. I always wanted to be at the top. I always wanted to be the best. And I always and it, to me, like if I ever went like a crazy time or like a crazy fast time, I never wanted anybody to say like, oh, she doesn't work hard for that time. That's
Mhm.
luck. Like put in the work, put in the effort in order for people to be like, okay, she deserves to go that time. She deserves all of these things, you know?
Amazing, amazing. And the problem we see now, as coaches is, as soon as, let's say, there's that person that is third place in the same race as you, and her mindset just becomes, like it just automatically comes to, oh well, I mean, she's just amazing. I mean, I'll never beat her. Like, it's that fixed mindset to where you do just enough to get by and you're okay with third place, but you're more in that growth mindset, that fighter mindset, to where you say, if somebody beats me, like that's the last time that ever happens. Like I'm going to do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
That's awesome. And if we could bottle that up and just sell it, we'd be on top of the world. So
Right.
very cool. So very decorated in high school. extremely, competitive, racing year round, doing everything, managing your grades, always keeping priority on top of everything that you're doing, being present. Let's talk about the recruiting process. So, when did you decide that this was going to be something you wanted to do in college? Was it at an early age, or did you say, you know what, this is more than just something I'm good at? This is my passion, and I want to go keep going and climbing the ladder.
Well, whenever I was younger, I knew I was like good at swimming, but I didn't really like get into all of the college things until like my older teammates and my older friends started going through the recruiting process and saying like you can do this too, like you can be a collegiate athlete too. And then I think like my 8th grade year, I was like, okay, like I want to swim in college. I want to keep going. I want to, I want to do it all. But with swimming, you can't start being recruited until the summer going into your junior year, and there's like a certain date. It's against like the NCAA rules. So
Right.
basically, the first day that the like that you could start being recruited, I got a bunch of emails and all of these things, and then I started talking to a bunch of schools, and then my junior year of high school state, I had a like great meet, and after that's when Houston reached out to me and I started talking to Houston, but more schools like continued to reach out to me. But I didn't want to rush the process because I was very like going back and forth, like kind of indecisive about it, like
Mhm.
about which school I was going to, because I
Yeah.
knew I wanted like a great team. Whenever I was younger, I wasn't swimming around many girls. Like it was just me and all these boys. Like girl team, like that meant a lot to me. I wanted good coaches who knew what they were doing. The school, I wanted it to be like closer to home. And then academics, like they obviously had to have the major that I wanted. So I took my recruiting trip to Houston the end of my junior year,
Mhm.
and then I swam over that summer, had a great season. Then I took my recruiting trip to LSU like in October of my senior year, and I was supposed to take one to TCU the week after in Wyoming. But I was like, I know that I don't want to go to Wyoming or
Mhm.
TCU.
Yeah.
So then I just made the decision that
Mhm.
I made, yeah.
Right then and there. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that your patience, like you said, from the junior year, knowing that junior year was that time that you'd be able to get recruited, it's like, up until then you did everything you could to get to that point to take off. And you hit the hammer on the head of the nail when you said when you're in 8th grade, so you're 5 years out. So you've got a 5-year plan to go swim in college, and it all just follow the process. You continually do days after days in training, and that just led to everything falling into place exactly where you wanted to. What are you majoring in now? And because how did you decide it? Because this is the big one too. For students that are they know what they want to do, they want to go play college sports, but then all of a sudden it's like, wait, you're a student athlete, so you got to kind of start thinking about the major and what you want to do. So, what are your goals for that?
Right. So I want to go to law school. So that's always been something that I wanted to do. So right now my major is political science, but I'm changing it to business and like more focusing in finance because just by the odds that I decide or like don't get into law school, I have like a backup plan. So right now my major is business and finance, but yeah, that's basically.
Your first backup plan needs to be go to sales because number one, you never lose. So you'll probably make about $1 billion for whoever you work for. I will hire you right away. So let's just be straightforward about that. But yeah, that's awesome. So you have another plan now too. So as a freshman, with the end goal in mind, you've set your standard, you want to go to law school and you know what that process is going to be. So again, it's like the athletics and the mindset behind, being organized and disciplined is carrying straight over into your studies, your personal life, and then eventually your professional life. And it's all the same. How you do one
Right.
thing is how you do everything. Is that one of the sayings? So what about, as far as the transition from high school to college? What was that transition like? And what advice kind of would you give to high school seniors who are about to finish up in the next month, who are headed to go play collegiate sports?
Right. Well, in the beginning, it was hard, coming from like a small town to
Mhm.
Houston, which is like a big city, and always being the best on your team to coming in and you have girls that are like the same speed as you. So basically, in practice, my mindset was always to try to get my hand on the wall first. Like, and clearly not in warm up, but like in
Right.
everything else, I would try to stay with the girls or get my hand on the wall first. And the transition took time, so I knew that. And I just tried, like I tried talk well, I talked to the older girls. Like I have a friend who just graduated from TCU and she swam there
Mm.
all 4 years. And so I talked to her about it and she kind of like helped me through, and she was just like, it's going to take time, but you're going to get there. It was just a big learning process, like learning like when to eat before practices and what to eat to help you, learning if you should take a nap before, like in between your practices, and like
Yeah.
what time you need to go to sleep, and all of these things to go to be able to do weights and swim, then go to class, then swim again. So I think it was just a learning process, and the transition got easier as I went, clearly. But swimming wise and practicing wise, my team is a very supportive team. Like in between each like swim, I guess you could say, we're always cheering on each other. So I always had a backup like support system. Is so supportive of me no matter what I do. So
Right.
if I ever needed to like get advice from them or talk to them, I could talk to them about anything. Yeah, but I think that just the major transition was like all these different types of people. Like my team's from around the world, and so like getting to know everybody and bracing with these girls has just like been a great learning experience, and I met so many new people. But I'd say like the advice that I'd give the incoming freshmen was to just be like have patience about it, which
Mm.
I know is not easy, but it's also not an easy transition either. You go from being like the top to like kind of back at the like back at the bottom of the totem pole. So I say like put in the hard work. Like, hard work pays off. So if you just put in your hard work, you'll get back to the top. That's it.
What suppose that you had a tough practice or a tough meet. What's your motivation to not motivation? What's kind of your self-talk and your process of saying, okay, it's kind of move on from it and on to the next practice, or move on. We got to get ready for the next race. Like, what's that mentality like after something doesn't go as you expect it to?
So in practice, if I don't have a good practice, like say I'll have practice Friday morning and I have the Friday afternoon and I don't have a good Friday morning practice, I kind of just like let it go. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like not every practice can be perfect. Like you're not going to win every race you swim, you're not going to do good at every practice that you go to. As long it's more like as long as I'm trying during practice and like giving it my all and I still don't do the best I want to do, then like
Yeah.
that's okay. But I just think of it as like if I get too caught up in that, then I'm wasting a new opportunity this afternoon to get better.
Right.
Because every time you practice or every time you race or anything, it's just a new opportunity to get better
Yeah.
and to do something. And then
Yeah.
race wise, at conference, my first race at conference was not the best. And I kind of just like I let myself be upset about it for about 5 minutes. I was like, okay, like get it out, like
Get it
be
out.
upset about it. And
Yeah.
then you have to move on because your team, like you need, like your team needs you. Like you can't be upset about this one race when you have two more races left of the meet. This was one day, this was one race. Like you still have two more to go. Your team needs you. You can't let your team down. You can't let
Mhm.
yourself down, because if you let yourself down, then you're letting your team down too. Or your coach is down who brought you here,
Yeah.
So I kind of just let myself be upset about it. And then I moved on and I did different preparations for the next day. And then it went so much better the next day.
Learned with Ben Newman, but it's just amazing how your focus just stays straight ahead. You have tunnel vision for the goal, the process. You appreciate what's important now. That's one of the methods we talk about. WIN, what's important now. And you let it out. You give yourself those 5 minutes to kind of just say, okay, here it is, forget it, and now we're on to the next. And it's just so powerful how you can do that. And it's all that confidence in yourself. I mean, just from talking to you, as I mean, this all comes from your preparation. I mean, like you said, every practice is an opportunity for you to get better, and you got to make the most of it. And that's enough power in itself to make somebody very, very, very successful. So I think it's great what you're doing. I think it's your mental performance and clarity is unbelievable. I think, when we talk about the little things that you can fix when we have our discussions in our meetings, about just maybe a little bit more sleep the night before practice, maybe just a little bit less time, focused on that last bad practice, or if something bad goes or something wrong during the race. I mean, once you start tweaking those little things, I mean, it's like you're going to be unstoppable. So, this is all coming from you as a freshman swimmer. I mean, usually, they're kind of wide-eyed, like looking around, like, what am I supposed to do now? But but you've tackled that first swim season. You're back into it. You're ready to go. So super awesome what you're doing, Elizabeth. And I personally have never followed or watched college swimming. Okay. But I promise you now, I am. Okay. I'll have University of Houston women's swimming saved on my score app and I'll be ready to go, or follow the Twitter, whatever, wherever y'all post all your stuff. So I'm excited to follow you and continue. Last thing I'll say is Elizabeth is also a 4.0 student. She does everything right. Classroom has always been a top priority. I taught her when she was a sophomore. She was lights out. Okay. And what I can promise you is that everything that she is saying now and everything that she's, showing from her, ability to just bounce back and be resilient in these things is all just part of a consistent. There's very few times that, she doesn't bounce back very quickly from some kind of loss or some kind of put down or adversity. So if you're a young person, young athlete or parent listening to this, please support your athletes, support your teammates, support your, if you're a coach, support your athletes to where they're able to bounce back and be resilient like this. And, Elizabeth is a perfect example of how somebody can live that way throughout their entire life. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for hopping on, and can't wait to jump into the off season and look forward to working with you more.
Thank you.